Amen. And even tonight, Miss Cheyenne, she's going to be delivering the word to the youth. And as leaders, that's how we learn this. That's how you get your feet wet. That's how you become a part of it. You know, if nobody ever asked me to minister and get up behind and begin to minister a word and give me something to do, I would have never been trained to do what it is I do now. I'd be up here all nervous. Used to it. I got over it. But that's been our heart from the get-go of this ministry, is just training people. Got Cheyenne, she's learning the drums. She wants to be a part of it. She wants to learn them drums. Don't get after it, girl. You're going to bang away on them. Figure it out. I can't help you. I don't know. I can't train you. I get over and make some noise with you, but it's about it. But if it comes down to being diligent and wanting to do something different. Sarah's applied herself. She's been doing this for a while. She's applied herself. She wanted to be a part of this. She wanted to do that. And it gives, when you begin to notice this, it gives a break. The leader that's doing it, Charity's been doing this, to give her a moment to be able to step back into worship and begin to sing the way she wants to sing and allow somebody else to take lead on that keyboard. Just simple little things, but how we'll open the anointing up so much more for us. And that's what we do, is leaders training leaders. And that should be your heart in this ministry, is you want to be willing to train somebody to do what it is you do. Well, Pastor ain't done nothing yet. Wait, it's coming. Yeah. It's coming. We all got our eyes on you. We all got our eyes on you. But that is wanting to train people to do what it is you do. Nobody's here to try to hold a spot. Nobody's here like, this is my position and I can't move. That'll get you moved quick. It's the heart in which we do things, the anointing in which we carry with it. Amen. I'm going to turn to you, the youth loose. Get all tongue-tied up here. Let them go back there and enjoy the word from Miss Cheyenne. Go ahead, smile. Well, guys, we've had a full day already. It's been rich. It's been good. This morning was good. That and getting baptized, and on top of that was just an amazing experience. But I'm going to minister a little bit tonight, and it's something I ministered on before. I was kind of going through my notes, and I got home and just not wanting to recreate the wheel tonight. And the Lord kind of brought me back to something I ministered. It's back about this time last year, as a matter of fact. And as I got to looking at it, it fits for what we're fixing to start going on Wednesday nights. And wanting to get into inner healing and deliverance, this is one of the things that we've got to learn to deal with, and what's going to be battling the flesh, battling ourselves, battling this carnality that which we have, and getting ready to get in this. And Boudreaux, I know you've not been around to hear it, but on Wednesday nights we're going to start a inner healing and deliverance class. You're more welcome to come along if you want to. We got some others that's supposed to be joining us as well. And I extended the invitation to church there in Gatesville to see if they wanted to come. They don't have anything on Wednesday night, so I extended them. I don't know if they'll come or not, but I did extend the invitation to them. And it's such an important thing. And I was really surprised at how excited everybody got when we began to talk about wanting to do this. And everybody's like, I need that. I need a part of it. It's like, well, we all need it, but sometimes it's just, it kind of blew me away, I guess. Everybody just sucked it up and said, hey, we need this. I want to be part of this. Well, amen. But tonight, just getting into this, and we won't even cover all of it. There's too much in this. But it's going to be battling the flesh. And as leaders of a church, leaders of ministry, you got to do this. Just in yourself, we have to do this. We battle the flesh. The enemy comes at you with everything he's got. Especially when you're in ministry, when you're doing the things that God's called you to do, the enemy is trying to come at you every which way. And it's the carnality of man that rises up, and we have to begin to learn how to crucify our own flesh, putting ourselves down, putting our personal junk aside, putting our nasties, wash it off and be done with it. But we battle the flesh, and as in ministry, we will always be battling the flesh. You're always battling with the flesh because the enemy's always trying to bring things up to you. He's always trying to get you to lust after things. He's always trying to place things in your path.
Right.
And he knows what it is that tweaks you. He knows what it is in your mind that get you twisted up. And these are the things that you're going to be battling. And it's a lifelong walk. But the longer you walk and the longer that you're able to put the flesh down, where you get to that point in life where you can just put the flesh down, it comes easy. And there'll be times it kind of slips in and pokes you with something else while you're ow. And you got to deal with it real quick. But for the most part in life, me myself now, I don't say that I don't battle the flesh, but it doesn't rule me like it used to.
Amen.
I don't allow it to rule me like it used to. I'm not the same man I was 2 years ago. I'm not the same man I was last week. And each and every one of us ought to be able to say that. I'm not the same person I was 2 years ago. Amen. There's a couple of us in there that can definitely say we're not the same person we were 2 years ago.
Yes.
But there's been the issues and things where we've been battling the flesh, but we get to that point in life where it's just like it's so easy to it rolls off because we've learned how to put it down. We've learned how to put it under. But battling the flesh is a daily walk. It's a daily thing. It's a daily thing that we deal with. When you get up in the morning, you're dealing with yourself. And you have to remember that everybody else around you is dealing with yourself. Tomorrow's going to be Monday morning. A lot of us are going to go back to work, except for one of us will be on vacation for a week. Well, we're going to go back to work tomorrow. And Monday mornings is usually you got all these people on the Monday morning blues and all the Monday morning oohs and ahs. And there's going to be that battle of the flesh that's going to come on real quickly. And the enemy's going to come up real quickly and try to find something to snag you with. He's going to have somebody in your path that's just going to try to tick you off, or something's going to be said, or something's going to be done. And he's just looking for a foothold, looking for a spot to anchor in. And that's where we got to put ourselves, battle that flesh and put ourselves down, so to speak. Amen. But when we go through these areas, our character comes to surface very quickly on who we truly are.
Amen.
When we go through these walks, when we're dealing with this stuff, these things that come up, when we're dealing with having to battle the flesh, our character comes to surface very quickly. And we have to ask ourselves, is it a godly character or is it a worldly character? And like I said, I mentioned this about this time last year, and some of y'all probably remember this, but I put a post on Facebook about this time last year. And this post on Facebook was a shot at somebody because I was upset. And I went back and read this again, and I was laughing at myself. It's like, are you kidding me? But I was at this moment where I was battling the flesh, and I let the flesh win when I put this post on Facebook. And I'm going to read it to you because it's a good post. It's deep. It's a good post. There's truth in there. It was great truth, but the problem is my heart was wrong when I posted it. I was battling the flesh. Somebody ticked me off, so I was a keyboard warrior for a minute. Tell you what. Post. But a keyboard warrior for a moment. Well, we used to call them the keyboard Rambos. But that was me for the moment when I put this post on. But I went back and I looked at this and I seen this and I read it again. I thought, my God. It was such good truth, but my heart behind it was wrong. But I was battling the flesh at the moment, and I let the flesh win. But I went back, and God used this and began to minister to me what I posted. Because I went back and looked, and I thought, that applies to me. That applies to me. I'm pointing somebody else out, but the whole time I should have been looking in the mirror and said, son, this is for you. This is all about you. But I'm going to read this to y'all y'all hear this. But I was taking a shot at somebody that ticked me off. And the deal is, I posted this. I don't even remember if they liked it or commented or anything about it, but then I had to look. So, does this really help them? Yeah. Because I didn't have their name attached to it. It wasn't like, hey, this is for you. Yeah. I knew better than that. At least I had enough sense not to tag them in and say, hey, this is you. But it's like, did this truly help them? Probably not. I'm not even sure they read it or whatever, but I was just mad enough at the moment to go ahead and tell you what. What is it, Pastor? I'm fixing to read it. But like I said, a godly character come up out of you. And this was not the best one for me to have at that time. Let me find it here. It was a good one. Now listen to this. This is the title of it, Selfishness. It's already good stuff right there. Just selfishness. Yeah. Oh, Lord help me. He did. He did. Well, I said God corrected me in this because I went back and read this and it's like, it was me. But selfishness. It says, when what you do is motivated by your selfish desire, you'll never be able to help anyone because you're motivated by yourself. And you're not motivated by the Spirit to be a help. You're looking for self-gratification and no longer looking for the Spirit of God in the moment to be a help, thus becoming a stumbling block. Selfishness breeds low self-esteem in you and in others you come in contact with. But I remember feeling real good about myself when I posted that. I hope they read it. I hope they know it's about them. I mean, it was anyway, she raised your hand by who's all been guilty of that. Honest people in the house. But that was a selfish motivation on my own self because I was ticked at somebody else because I was seeing them as being selfish in an area. And I was watching something play out and I could see it by the Spirit. Spiritual me, I actually see this thing playing out by the Spirit. So I figured I'd help them. Because they made me mad. So I'm going to help them. I'm a pastor. I can help them. And I put this on Facebook. And I did. I got lots of likes. I got lots of comments. I got people, well, that's the truth. You know, there's all these people going out there. Boudreaux probably even hit it a couple of times. Man, this is good stuff. This is the truth, man. This is good. I'm like, yeah. And I don't think that person ever liked it or commented or anything. I'm thinking, I know they had to have seen it. They got to be getting help. They're going to comment. They're going to call me. They're going to do something. They're going to, yeah. And I don't think they ever read it. It was definitely the wrong spirit. But after a couple of days, I got to thinking about this, like, Lord, because I'd go back and read it again. It's like, yeah, that's me. That's me. I'm being selfish at the moment. I'm trying to project myself on somebody else because I'm having a selfish moment, so I'm projecting myself. I was battling the flesh, but I was letting the flesh win because I'm trying to spin my flesh into something spiritual, thinking I can help somebody. And the whole time it was me needing the help. And I could go back and look at the situation. It's like they were right all the time. What they were doing was right. I just had a wrong perspective because, number one, I wasn't in their house doing the things they were doing. I didn't understand what it was they were trying to lay out for what they were doing. I'm not going to go all there. But I was not part of their house. I was not part of their household. I was not part of doing what they were doing. And so I was seeing this, and I was seeing what was motivating me is what was them. Because I had a selfishness about me at the moment of what was happening. And that rose up inside of me, and I projected it. I didn't take control of it. I didn't take a hold of it. Put that back down and said, no. Because even if what they were doing was truly on a selfish motive or a selfish, God will deal with that. Me and my little keyboard warrior self wasn't going to help the situation. All it did was make myself look like an idiot. I'm glad nobody else caught on to it but me. You got me? Yeah, it was me. I was being the idiot, but I'm glad nobody else caught it. Nobody's like, hey, Pastor Mike, you've been stupid at the moment. I'm glad nobody caught that. And if they did, they kept their mouth shut. It helped me out a lot. But it was the battle of the flesh, and I lost in that one. But as I went back and began to read that again, God brought it back to my remembrance, and he showed me, and he's like, you are the one being selfish. It's your motives and your desires right now that prompted this to rise up inside of you. This is what's buried deep within inside of you. This is what rose to the top. You got some selfishness inside of you. You've got something you need to deal with. Someone gonna point my finger at him. I ain't selfish. Nah, I know better than that. But I had this that they checked me. They checked me again earlier, and I was scanning through there, and I seen that, and I laughed and looked at it. I was like, I'm good now. All right. I still wanted to go back and check though. And it's like, now I could truly put this back on Facebook with a pure motive and pure heart to help somebody, but not actually be aiming it at somebody. And it was an awesome post. It really was. Just out of a selfish desire. But the deal is when you're battling the flesh and things are going on, we have to check our motivations. Sometimes we don't realize we're battling what we're battling until we begin to check our motivation. Check what it is that's rising up inside of us. What is it taking place that's causing us to want to do what it is we're doing? What is causing us to react the way we react? Why are we acting the way we act? Why is what's coming out of our mouth coming out? What's our motivation behind this? Is my motivation pure? Or is it, I got an angst against Boudreaux. He done ticked me off. So I'm going to let him know about it in the most spiritual way I possibly can. You're selfish. Let me text him. But what's the motivation behind what it is you do? You know, everything that Jesus done and everything that God does is in pure love. Nobody should ever walk away from you feeling less than. You should never walk away from anybody feeling less than. If their motivations were pure and of the things of God, you will walk away feeling loved. You might just got a spiritual spanking, but you feel loved. Why? Because the motivation was pure. If you walk away from somebody feeling, ugh, you walk away from them feeling like just nasty, something tore at you. First off, check yourself before you point fingers. That's one thing I tell my leadership. Anything goes wrong, anything going on in where you're at, if something's going on in the worship, she better check herself first. Before she goes pointing fingers at anybody else in the worship team, she better check herself first. If there's anything going on in the body, I got to check myself first. Am I pure? My motivation's pure. Am I laying the things out in truth like it's supposed to be? Check myself first before I go to that person and say, hey. When you begin to do that self-evaluation, that self-check, you understand, all right, am I battling the flesh? Am I got the things in the spirit right so that way I can go help them? Checking my motivations, checking who I am, checking what it is I'm fixing to do. What am I fixing to engage in? As a leader and as part of a ministry, you always check yourself first. There's lots of teachable things in this whole message. But when you're part of a ministry, part of leadership, as something else, if Sarah sees something going on in the worship team, she don't bring it to me first. She takes it to her leader. The leader evaluates. Amen. Once again, self-check. Because she might say, well, Sarah, everything's good. Honestly, I believe that you're missing it right here. And she may fix it right there. Boom. Now, if something goes beyond that, then it comes to me. Then it comes to the pastors. But it's a self-check and self-motivation. Where are we at in battling the flesh? A lot of us have been around for a while. A lot of us have been in different churches. A lot of us have seen these things happen where somebody wants a position. Selfish desires of a position, and they begin to say things. Trying to knock somebody out of a position because they want it. Begin to battle the flesh, begin to see things, and I want this as a selfish desire that rises up within inside of them, and they want this position. They want to be a part of this. Never go up to the leader in that position and say, hey, can you train me to do what it is you do? Instead, we'll go over here. Can you believe they did this? Can you believe they did this? Can you believe Pastor said this? Can you believe blah, blah, blah? And so it's battling the flesh. Battling the flesh. You know, if somebody brings anything to me, that's the first thing I ask him. What's your motivation? Why are you bringing this to me? First off, we'll deal with this in a minute, but why are you bringing this to me? Let's make sure all of this is right. Make sure that what's coming between me and you is right and it's pure. Is your heart right? Is your motivation pure? You'll know it real quickly by just how they react, how they begin to tell you things about somebody. Because if their motivation is pure and is out of love, they're wanting to help. They truly want to see a change. Or you just got somebody wanting to run up and tattletale on somebody. And there's a difference. Tattletales are bringing something up because they want to see some retribution. They want to see retribution. A person that's motivated by love wants to see this person handled sweetly, corrected the way they need to be corrected, brought back and set in position where they're supposed to be so they continue the work, continue the ministry, continue the anointing flowing in their lives. They're not looking for retribution. I'm so glad people didn't always look for retribution in my life. There's a lot of us probably sitting here now thinking, I'm glad that somebody loved me enough not to worry about the retribution. And I'm not going to keep y'all long tonight, but I want to take you somewhere tonight. We've done this many times throughout the years. With Apostle was really big on this, and I began to catch a hold of this, and I've taught it myself, and have been with y'all and told y'all to do this, and I've seen Apostle do this, and I never done it myself as far as writing these down, but he would write these scriptures down, and he had them in cards in his pocket. And if I ever seen him pull them cards out of his pocket and begin to read his scriptures off, he was talking to himself. He was reminding himself of who it was he's supposed to be. And I'll catch where I'm at here in just a minute. But he would begin to pull these things up and begin to say these. I caught on to what he was doing because he was having a moment. He's having a battle of the flesh. Something's happened. And he's reminding himself of who he is. It's like I tell you all the time, go look in the mirror. Remind yourself of who you are. Look in the mirror. You got to stand in front of the mirror and just say about you are anointed of God. You are this, you are this, you are this, you are this. Begin to remind yourself of who God says you are. And I've seen him, and we've talked about this many times. We'll go to 1 Corinthians chapter 13. And I'm going to challenge y'all with this. If y'all don't have these wrote down, write them down. A lot of you got a phone. Y'all flip to it and save it on your phone and put it in your notes where you can go to it quickly. Whatever it is it takes. And this is referred to as the love chapter of the Bible. And I'm going to read this to you real quick, and then we're going to go back on them just a minute. We're starting in verse 4. It says, love suffers long and is kind. Love does not envy. Love does not parade itself and is not puffed up. Someone's already sitting there going, So it does not behave rudely, does not seek its own, is not provoked, and thinks no evil. Does not rejoice in iniquity, but rejoices in the truth. Bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, and endures all things. It didn't say some, it says all. So love never fails, but whether there are prophecies, they will fail. Whether there are tongues, they will cease. Whether there is knowledge, it will vanish away. Those four little scriptures carry a massive amount of weight in the Spirit. And what I seen my apostle do is he wrote these down on note cards and put them in his back pocket. Whatever where the word love was, he put his name in there. Everywhere love is, unless you got the King James and Charity's name's already there. But everywhere it says love, and if you got the King James that says charity, it means love. The word charity means love. But everywhere you see that word and everywhere you read down through the scriptures, put your name. It reads a little differently when you put it in there and you make it so personal. I'll tell you, we've got the right to make the word personal. It's a love letter to us, so we make it personal. So it sounds a little bit different when you put it in there. Sherry suffers long and is kind. Jeremy Boudreaux does not envy. Sarah does not parade herself, and she is not puffed up. Miss Chris does not behave rudely, nor does she seek her own. She's not easily provoked and thinks no evil. Jason does not rejoice in iniquity, but rejoices in the truth. Mary bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, and endures all things. Pastor Mike never fails. Skylar never fails. When you begin to make it that personal and put your name in there, it makes it so much easier to see who it is we're supposed to be, who it is we're called to be. So when we come up in this battlefield where we're battling the flesh, begin to remind yourself of who you are. I walked many years with my apostle, been around the world with the man, been in lots of situations with him, been dealing with lots of different people with him. And see people will come up and just spit vile things at you, and especially when you become a minister of the gospel, people will come up and just all kinds of junk at you. They're looking for something to try to get underneath the skin. It's the enemy just looking for something to try to just goad you. See him go back there and pull them cards out of his pocket. He carried them for a long time. Had them laminated and everything, I believe. He pulled them out. He's walking around. It wasn't like he was trying to tell that person, he would just walk off and he began to remind himself of what God says, who he is. Understanding that the battle that was there was not his and it's a spiritual battle. He just has to give it over. My answers are going to be in love. I've been with him many times, and there'd be like people be saying something. I'd be like, just let me silence them for you real quick, sir. I can do it. I can shut the mouth of the enemy real quick, break the jaw, something. I'll take care of it for you. But it was motivated by my love for him, but it was not motivated by the love of God. Stepping in the position of an armor bearer, I'm ready to take all things for him, and I was ready to do all things for him. I was ready. I'd have done it. Suffered the consequences for it and been okay with it. I'd have done it. I've pushed people away. I've stepped between him and others. People just, I got all kinds of stories I could tell. But the fact of the matter was, is my love for him was what motivated me, but my love wasn't of a godly love at the moment. It was just my love of my pastor. Somebody, it's like you come up and talk about my wife, my kids, fights on. Same way with my pastor. You're talking about my pastor, fights on. But he had begun to teach me what needed to motivate me. Thank you, Michael, for wanting to do this for me, but. Thank you, but. You're allowing your flesh to rise up and begin to motivate you, and that's not the motivation we need here. I need you strong in the spirit to help me. I need you to be oozing love. I need you to be sticky with it. Took me a little while to catch some of that. But I had to begin to understand who it was I was supposed to be as well. I looked up to the man, still do. He's my pastor. He's trained me, and I wanted to be just like him. I modeled my life like him. The way he would minister, I wanted to minister just like him. The way he would talk, I wanted to talk just like him. I wanted the wisdom rolling out of me just like him. So I modeled myself just like him until it came to this love stuff. And it's like, you go get it, boy. You just, yeah. I'll watch you from a distance on this one. And I come to the realization after time as I hadn't received the Father's love the way I needed to. I had to receive his love and who it was I was supposed to be in him first. I used to be very prideful in the things I did just for being Apostle's armor bearer. Following him around, I was very prideful in it. I was good at what I did. I knew it. I was very good at it. I see things coming along before it got there. And it was just by the Spirit of God that I knew things were coming up. I knew you travel around the world, trust me, you get around some weird people and some weird stuff at times. The Spirit of God would always provoke me into certain areas and things, and so I always knew when something was coming, but I was very puffed up and prideful in myself of what it was I was doing. And I'd watch the love pour out of him over somebody and just watch this thing just dissipate and just, I'm thinking, I'm still puffed up, I'm all swole up, ready to just I don't know, pounce on them, do something. But my motivation was wrong. I was allowing that selfish desire. I was allowing the battle of the flesh, and I was letting the flesh take over. I was letting the old me kind of hang around just enough. The old me hanging around just enough, trying to make it spiritual. It don't work that way, guys. It don't work that way. We've allowed things in life to kind of mold us and shape us at times in our younger years. I always called it the BC, before Christ, in my life. Allow things to motivate and shape me and mold me into this person. You know, Jesus come by with a hammer and broke the mold and brought me out of it, but sometimes we tend to want to kind of pull this piece back because we were comfortable with it. Keep it right here. No, I like that piece. It fit nice. And we were never supposed to be in a mold. But we got comfortable in it. We got comfortable in the flesh. We got comfortable with what was there. And sometimes we tend to not want to be able to battle against it. We just kind of let it. Just kind of ride along and, well, that's just the way I am. No. It's just the way you're choosing to be at the moment. Like I was telling you the other night, you know, we used to blame my temper. I'd claim it as my temper. And then it was because of my grandfather had a bad temper. So then we had what we called the farmer temper, which was the namesake. And there for many years, I went with the farmer temper, and I got away with it because it was just the way I was. It was my motivation. It was okay. I could be that way. Papa had a bad temper. Mama could get riled up pretty quick. I had a short fuse and it was already lit. I'm ready to go. And that was my view on life. It was all right. Tick me off. Go ahead. You want to go with a drop of a hat? I'll knock a hat off for you. I'll go ahead and drop it. Let's just do this. And that was my mindset. And so therefore, time coming into the things of God, I try to bring that mindset with me, thinking I can still be this way, but I can use it for the kingdom. Preach or punch, one of the two, right? So how much more selfish could I have gotten on my end? But looking at the motivation, what was my motivation? It was just selfish. It was the flesh, and I wasn't willing to put it down. I would just let it ride around, keeping it comfortable with me because it's what I was comfortable with. It's what I knew at the moment. But I wasn't allowing God to come in and break that mold and take me completely out of it. I was still trying to put them pieces back together because it's what I liked, it's what I knew, it's what people knew me by. Don't jack with Mike. He gets a little upset. You don't want to be around him. He pops his top. I liked it that way. See a little fire in his eyes and everybody moves away. I liked that. That was my mindset. That's what I enjoyed. But I allowed that to hang around for me, and it did for a long time. I've had many people in my face telling me, you need to get rid of this. And I say many people, my apostle and my wife and a few others. They could see the things that were going on in my life and understand where I was at and knowing that I wasn't turning some things loose that I needed to turn loose. And it was a battle of the flesh. It was my battle, but I wasn't letting him have it. And we see people that do things, try not to get too personal tonight, but we see people that do things and go back to things they used to do, or they go and be a part of things that we're doing, and you're looking at them, it's like, why? It's because they're allowing things to hang around for a while, not willing to deal with it, not wanting to deal with it, or don't know how to deal with it. A lot of us go back and do the things that we used to do because it's just what we know. We see other people that go back and do the things they did, and it's like, why did you do that? Because it was comfortable. And it's exactly, it's familiar. It's what we knew. It was a mold that we knew we could fit back into. It was never our shape, but we made it our shape. The enemy molded us into this, and we think that's what we are. And we go back to what was comfortable. And we see people and it's like, well, how can you be so foolish? Why do they do the things that they're doing? It's because they haven't caught a revelation of who they are and who it is they're supposed to be. And they're losing the battle of the flesh. Some seem to be worse than others. But we don't put a grade on that. If you're losing the battle to the flesh, you're losing the battle to the flesh. It don't matter if you lost from drugs, alcohol, whatever, or just flat out can't get up on a Sunday morning and be at church in time. You're losing the battle of the flesh. It's the battle of the flesh. You're losing. We try to elevate what we think is good and bad. But that mold, that shape, which is the battle of the flesh that's got us molded in somewhere we're not supposed to be. But yet we slip right back into it because it's comfortable, because we're not catching who we are. We're not allowing the motivation of God to move us and project us where we're supposed to be. We keep sliding back in these areas. And there's a reason why, and we have to ask ourselves, why? Now you see why I said this was a good precursor for what's going on Wednesday nights. Because this is going to wind up making you look at who you are. Begin to open you up and begin to see the things that's working in your life. Every one of us in here would go around before we catch a revelation and we would point fingers at somebody else as to why we are the way we are.
Right.
Well, my daddy, my mama, my grandpa, my uncle, my cousin, my friend, my husband, my wife, my kids, whatever. Every one of us would have a reason to try to point a finger at somebody else when it all stems right back here. I can tell you right now, I could bring Pastor Josephine in here and give a testimony of her life. A couple of them in here know it, part of it, not all of it. But it would blow your mind to see the person she is now versus the family she come out of. She has all right in the natural to point fingers at all kinds of people, to be a way that she could have been.
Right.
But she got motivated by something more than herself. And I attribute that today to the prayers that was with my mama. That was going on for me, that was just oozing off on her. Because it definitely had nothing to do with me at the time. But see the things that she dealt with in her life, and I've been around lots of people that have been jacked up families and jacked up stuff that's happened in life. And by natural, you have all right to point fingers. But it all goes right back here. I choose to be me. I choose to be the way that I am. It was a choice I make. You might help shape and mold me, but I chose the mold. I chose to stay there. Or I let God come in and break that thing off, learn to forgive, turn stuff loose, love on purpose.
Amen.
You know, you have to love on purpose.
Amen.
We have to love on purpose. It gets easier as you go on your walk. Well, sometimes you first starting off and you're trying to love somebody and you're just like, oh. It takes everything you got just to say, I love them. Oh, I love them. Oh. I need a Xanax for that one and go to bed and forget about it. But as you move along in life and you move along with the things of God, it gets so much easier, but we have to do it on purpose. We have to do it on purpose. Some people you just have a quick connection with and you can just love them because they're like you, or they have a spirit like you, or there's just something about them you just love them. Like Boudreaux, first time I ever met that boy, I loved him. Didn't know why. First time he pulled up on the job site and Brandon's like, he's going to be working with you. And I'm thinking, it's like, I like him. He's a great guy. I mean, he's got a personality that's 4 times bigger than he is. But I'm like, have you seen what we do? Have you seen what I do? And you're going to put him with me? Well, he's a dynamic duo, let me tell you. I couldn't fit, he could. If I had to hang you by his ankles to get it done, we could do it. But me and him worked together for a span of time, and I couldn't help myself. I loved him. He was just, it was a kindred spirit between me and him. I couldn't have told you what it was. Me and him are absolutely nothing alike. Everything we did in life was completely different, so I don't know what it was that drew me to him like it was. But man, I love the man. I couldn't help myself. Then you got Jason who started. When he first started, I'm thinking, golly, man, that boy, it's like we couldn't get along for much of anything. It's like me and him were like oil and water. We didn't mix. It's like there was always a rub between us. We argue and mess around. It was a constant thing between me and him for a while. I used to think, Brandon, you're going to do something. You're going to move him, move me. One of us going to kill each other something because I can't put up with him much longer. Telling off on myself in front of him tonight. But after a while, it got to where it's like, you know what? I began to listen to the voice of God about Jason. I began to understand Jason because I stopped my own foolish thoughts and desires. And I began to listen to the voice of God over Jason. I began to understand Jason. I began to catch where he was spiritually, and I began to hear the voice of God over him. Then it became easy. It's like I told you this morning, the first time I looked at him and told him, I can tell you I love you. His eyes got a bit bigger around, like having to gauge this one real quick. But he knows now I love him. I know he loves me. But the deal is it got to a point where that was not just easy for me with him. It took me a bit. But it was God working inside of me putting the flesh down as a battlefield. It was the flesh. Because once again, I'm with somebody that me and him were nothing alike except in size. Absolutely nothing alike. And my motivation at the time was just get the job done. I don't really want to train anybody else. And the deal was I'd been training people and training people and training people. And now I've got another one to train. Well, he come on and he actually knew how to do everything. But we just didn't get along real well. Well, we didn't at first, did we? It seemed like we were always rubbing on something. I mean, it was constant. Here he is, he calls me pastor. But the deal is I had to listen. I could have kept being my same old self. And Jason would not be with us here today. I could have been my same old self, the person I thought I needed to be, fit myself right back in that mold, and just be foul-tempered or whatever it is I wanted to do, just to get my way about something. Because it all goes right back to the selfish motivation of who we are, who we think we are, and not willing to put down the flesh, willing to put down that what's not supposed to be here. Love on purpose. Remind yourself of who you are. You know, we're made by love, made for love, to love. Even if your mom and daddy couldn't stand one another and you come out of it, God's the one that made you. And he made you on purpose.
Amen.
He loved you.
Amen.
He still loves you. You were made by love, for love, to love. And that's what we got to catch about ourselves. Most of y'all in here, and I could point quite a few of you out. We're small, so it'd be real easy. Just watching your motivation around other people, I can see the love of God working in your life. But there's also some people where you mention a name or mention a situation and you watch it. Because their mind goes back. It's like they ain't turned that loose yet. There's still an issue there. Still something needs to be dealt with there. There's an issue, there's a deal, there's a thing, there's a something. And it all boils right back down to they haven't let the love of God come in and touch the situation inside you. And I'll tell you this, people will do things stupidly. There can be people in your life that have hurt you. There will be people in your life that have hurt you. There will be people later on in life that could hurt you. But it's the love that we have. When our motivation's right and we turn that loose in love, it doesn't excuse what it was they've done, but it sets you right. It sets you right. Because when you allow the love of the Father to come inside of you and your motivation is pure, what you do is out of love. Your motivation is love.
Amen.
They can't touch you no more.
Amen.
They can't touch you spiritually no more.
Amen.
They can't get in there and jack you up like they used to. Because that spirit will come through trying. That spirit tries to get in there. It tries to find a hold. It tries to find a spot to get in there and get hooked in. But when you get to that point where you can truly release through love, and that's that love that motivates you, that pure love that motivates who you are, you can turn that loose and they have nothing. Nothing. Because you've released it. Some of y'all got horror stories, I guarantee you. I know some of y'all very personally, so I know there are. But it's our motivation. What do you do? I've had guns pulled on me before. I can still look at that person nowadays, tell them I love them. I've had knives pulled on me before. Been threatened to be killed and everything else, but come on. But I can look at that person now. They don't hold anything over me. I can look at them and say, I love you. I don't like you, but I love you. In fact, I had one that passed away here not too long ago. Man, that boy had some issues in the past. I went to his funeral. I walked in and his mama looked at me and says, I thought you was the last one I'd ever see here. That I loved him. You know, I did. So I love you. I love the family. Regardless of what they do. I don't have to like the junk. I don't like the stuff. I don't like them like I'm going to go sit and eat with them and have coffee with them. I can tell you, it's not like we're going to go out and sit together and have lunch or supper or anything like that. I still love the family. Why? Because it's my motivation. I love them. I don't like them. Don't like what they do. Don't like what they stand for. But I love them. I love them. I have to. Not only do I have to, I get to. That's the perspective we have to change. We get to. But everything I do has to be motivated by love. Once I have that motivation by love, everything that rolls out of me is of God. Everything that comes through me is of God. My motivation is of Him.
Amen.
Keep telling you I'm not going to keep y'all long. We're at 7:30 already. I hear the smirk in the corner over. But God, remind yourself of who you are. I tell you that all the time, and you have to. We have to remind ourselves of who we are. Because when you're not here in this corporate setting and you're not in with a corporate body and you're not in the anointing of the house, you have to remind yourself who you are. It's not like you got pastor calling you every morning and say, hey, you are. Well, if I had to, I would. If I felt the unction of the Holy Ghost to do so, I would. But you have to understand, I got to remind myself who I am too. I have to remind myself I am anointed. I am anointed. I am loved of God. Everything about Him motivates me. I am whatever He says I am. Why? Because I choose to be. You know, everybody in life, everybody that's on this planet, anybody that's ever been on this planet, has been called a child of God. Not everybody lived that way. Not everybody receives that. But it has to come in real to us. It has to become very real to us. You know, I could have gone through life denying my mom and daddy. Wouldn't change the fact of who they are. They are my mom and daddy. They consummated a marriage and out come me. Doesn't change the fact who they are, but I could have denied them all my life. I could even stand before you today and deny them who they are in my life. Doesn't change who I am. I just not living the way that I'm supposed to be. I'm not living calling them my parents. In the same way with the Christian walk, is we understand who God is. We understand who He is in our lives. But everybody on the planet is called a child of God, but not everybody lives that way. They deny Him. They don't understand His love for them. And that's a privilege we get. Show everybody else. Boudreaux, you still crack me up. You still crack me up. I can't see a lizard or a frog without thinking about him. I still, even now. That boy, I tell you what, we used to work together and he would preach to the lizards. He'd be out there talking to a horse he didn't care. He'd walk up, but he knew how to practice what it was he was doing. He'd be, hey, little guy, you ever heard about the saving power of Jesus Christ in your life? Do you want to be saved? You know, he died and went, I mean, he'd be preaching. Oh, I did for a little while. But then I got to that point, it's like, you know what? He's done what he believes and he's practicing. You know, I might think he's crazy as a Betsy bug, but he's practicing what it is. So when he gets to the point where he can talk to somebody, he's going to lay it on thick. He can stand right there and tell you what now, I've gotten 10,000 lizards and I don't know how many frogs saved. I'm working on a turtle and a horse next. I got you. And still, when I drive by that pasture over that horse, I'm still Viking. Why you named that horse Viking, I'll never know. But he preached the Viking. I remember Viking. So you don't understand the impact you make somebody's life sometimes. I mean, really, some of the things you think is absolutely goofy will make some of the biggest impacts. Of all the stories I have about Boudreaux and the things that me and him did over the couple of years we were together, it's the little things like that that would sound goofy, but it made the biggest impacts in my life. Because I'd have to sit and think to myself, it's like, man, he's going to go over and preach to a lizard. And it's like, when's the last time I even talked to anybody like that? When was I willing to even share my faith with somebody? He get down there and don't care who's listening to him. He going to get that lizard saved. And I'm thinking, well, that sucker going to be in heaven. Boudreaux's mansion's going to be covered with geckos. And it sounds silly, but that's the impacts he made. Why? Because he knew who he was and he was willing to share what he had. And if he couldn't find somebody to do, and I've seen him, walk up to people and do the same thing, but he was willing to share what he got. That was what was in him. That's what came out of it. That was his motivation. Yes, I remember. In you, you're right. You're right. It is in you. But what was rising up out of him? And it impacted my life. And sometimes I go back and look, and it's like I can't even see a frog or a turtle anymore, or a frog or a lizard. And it's like Boudreaux. And I drive by that pasture and I see that horse out there, and I automatically think of him. I don't know why he named the thing Viking, but he named him Viking. There's nothing that looks like a Viking about this horse, but he named him Viking. That's the only animal I know that he named. So I'm guessing that horse will be in heaven too when he gets there. It's fun to pick on people, but you understand there's an impact that was made in my life. Why? Because he done something. You make impacts in people's lives. Sometimes you do some of the smallest things, but it's the love that motivates you. That's what people connect to. Amen. That's what people connect to. I want you to understand when we start going through these classes, there are going to be things that come up, things you got to face, things you're going to look at. I told y'all Wednesday night, it's kind of a general, overbroad thing, but there'll be times where we've got to get a little bit deeper with some of y'all, and that's okay. We'll do it. But it's the motivation. Where are you standing? Is it the love of the Father that's truly flowing through me? Is that my motivation? Am I willing to turn these things loose? Go ahead and break off the rest of that mold and stretch on out there. When it comes to the enemy, you should be very claustrophobic. You should be very claustrophobic. You ain't going to fit in this mold. Shake it off. Be like my little sister trying to put cover over her head when she's little. You talking about freak out. Enemy tried to pull something over your head, freak out. I mean, freak out. Get everybody's attention. Whatever it is you got to do, get away from it. Don't let him box you in. Don't let that get pressed around you. Don't let that mold come back around you. Freak out. You got permission to do so. Amen. Y'all enjoyed this tonight? I did. Fight was definitely on. Like I said, some of the small things. But check your motivations. When you're battling the flesh, check your motivation. What is it? Where are you at? Where are you standing? What's rising up on the side of you and what's flowing out of you? If it ain't sweet and it ain't pure and it ain't motivated by love, you better check it.
Come on.
Better check it. Especially when you're dealing with people. Like I said, it's the small things. It's the small things. Of all the stuff I could tell you about Boudreaux, it's them things that captured my attention. There's things about Jason I could tell you on. It's the small things about his life that's captured my attention. Just how I see people and things that happen. Of all the things that my family knows about me, it'd be the small things that they would tell you that shaped and molded me in their minds of who I am, especially now. Love it when Mary tells a story about me and Pastor Josephine, and it's always we're the ones that planted the seed. We're the ones that planted the seed. And at the time I went and done what I'd done, I was just trying to make peace. Because I understood what was going on, and I was just trying to make peace. I was trying to just level everything out for everybody. I felt like I was caught in the middle, and I thought, I'm going to go settle this thing. And I walked in, and God took over. That's all I can say.
Amen.
But I went to move and make peace. God had a different plan. I could go on all night, but I'm not going to. I'll stand to your feet. I love you guys. Pastor Josephine loves y'all. We're willing to walk through these things with every one of you. Walk through these areas and begin to help you in areas that we need to be helped in. Our motivation's pure. I'm strictly motivated by the things of Him. Charity, why don't you come release them? Tell you, I know Pastor Justin told you a while ago we're going to be gone for the next few days. We'll be back in time Wednesday for service, which will be on our minds. We're just going to go take a quick break and just take a little time just to recoup and just. I really ain't had been a couple of years, I think, since I've actually really took some time, just go take time with the family. So we're going to do it. Just take a couple of days and just go rejuvenate and just enjoy one another. But if anything arises, you've got Charity, you got Sarah, and you got Skylar, that you can definitely call on. And if there's something they can't handle, they'll get us. I don't see anything rising up. But I want you to understand that there are people in place to help you. It's what it means to be part of a body. As there's people in it's a family, and we're all here to help one another. Amen. Even you, Boudreaux. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Extra